Hi everybody, welcome again to another program of Yeshiva Classroom, and we're here all the time. You can catch us on the internet on the Yeshiva Classroom, and this is being pre-recorded on the fourth day of Hanukkah, which is December 28th, and we have a December 28th at 10:30, and we have planned something really special for you, because first of all, we have as our co-host Dr. Jed Webb, who is a tremendous person. She's an idealist, and you know, the first idealist was Rivka in the Torah, where she not only gave the guests water, but she went to the camels and she gave them water to drink, all the camels. So she's an idealist, and once you come across an idealist, it sticks in your mind, because there are not so many. But Gail Jebweb is one of them.
Thank you.
Because when I called up this morning, she said I needed another 10 minutes, and she's a mother. She's a wife. She has children, and in the community, she's just one of a kind. She went down on January the 6th on her busy schedule to support the president elect, or that time the president Donald Trump. Now I have a lot of things planned over here, and I want to start off with a different Torah, a thought of Torah. And you know, when the Jews came out, you know, God is so good to us. He cares for us so much. When we came out of Egypt, He said, the pasuk says in Exodus chapter 19, verse 8, He says, if you observe my covenant and listen to my word, you will be a people of Kohanim, Malachim Kohanim, or ministers. And we came to Mount Sinai, and that was a 50-day journey from the 15th day of Nisan to the 6th of Sivan, right? Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, 50 days, and we stood in front of Mount Sinai. All of the Jewish people, all of them. And it was such a sight, and the ambiance, and the what withal, that a smoking furnace kitchen, a fiery area where God all of a sudden gave this command to the Jewish people. It's like Nevi'im, like prophets. We were like prophets. He treated us like prophets. He spoke directly to the Jewish people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the house of slavery, from the house of Egypt, to be your God. And number two, that you should have only one God, no other God before you. And the Jews were entranced, that they couldn't realize what happened. They said, we can't stay in this area, in this environment. We have to have Moshe take these teachings, the words that he gave us. And God said, that's fine, in chapter 20, verse 17. It's fine. But the point we want to dwell on is that we were new persons, we were new people. We were changed. We had a charge at Sinai. Our genes were changed. Our DNA was changed. Because we heard the voice of Hashem, the Spirit of Hashem. And we remember this every day in Evolution. I don't know if you're familiar with Evolution. It says, the Spirit that I put upon you shall not depart from you, your offspring, your offspring's offsprings, from this moment and forever. Amen. We say that every day, but we don't realize it, that we are special. God treated us as a special, unique people. He said we are holy. We are holy. And you are a treasured people from over all the peoples of the earth. You are a treasured people, and you are my ministers. And we got that charge. We got that charge when all the people stood at Mount Sinai and they heard the words that was given to him. Ve'ele mishpatim, what's ve'ele mean?
And these.
And these, meaning not only the words that Hashem gave us at Sinai, and these words, the mishpatim and the civil laws that were given are just as holy. But the point we want to make is that our genes were changed. Our DNA was changed. We had a special relationship, and that's why we wonder, well, look, who are we? We're nothing. Yes, we're nothing, but we're special in God's eyes, and we have to repeat this because it's so important in that evolution that we say after Shemona Esrei, that Hashem will send a Mashiach, a Messiah to you, but in the interim, remember the Spirit that I put upon you, and the words I put in your mouth, and your offspring. It will be given over to your offspring, your offspring's offsprings, your offspring's offspring's offspring, to the third generation and beyond. Posterity, that we will have it. And that's why we are so special. So that's why we have to remember that in a Volazion, we say that every day. But the point is, I'm going to end just with one other thought, in that even though many of us have that ability to love Torah and to live according to the lifestyle that was dictated to us and the charge that we accepted, Nasa, we will do and we will learn, but there are some dropouts. I'm going to go to those specific people who are very learned and got a great educational background in Torah, but you find them dropping out on different generations. You have a couple, but the point is, that's why the Torah teaches us the beginning of wisdom is the awe of Hashem. That's prophets. In other words, the beginning of wisdom is the awe and fear of Hashem. And what do I mean by that?
Is that Rishis Chachma Yiras Hashem?
Right. Okay. Exactly. And what I want to these dropouts. We have to look at so many different things in science before you teach them. You have to learn different things. Beginning of wisdom is the awe of Hashem. And here, for instance, is a leaf. Look, before you start, these rabbis are going to go further and further, higher and higher in their learning. But all of a sudden, the Yetzer Hara will bring out something out of the, to attract you, and you'll drop everything and you run away from Torah, because you see, wow, this is a new world opening up in front of you. To those dropouts, you have to give them a little bit of science, like a bee. We start with a leaf. Look, it has so many veins and capillaries that bring the power of the sun and photosynthesis, and it hits the chlorophyll in the leaf, and it transports this material to the roots, and the roots are transporting materials to the leaf, and it knows when to open up and become a fruit, or to grow into a flower. And here it is. Look at a leaf. Look at the veins. Look at the transportation system going back and forth and over and all over the plant. Who could duplicate that? The biggest chemical companies in the world couldn't do anything like that. But before they give a shear, that's what the beginning of knowledge is, the awe of heaven, the awe of heaven, and that's the awe. Now you can look at a leaf. You can look at the sac of a bee.
Yeah.
You know, the bee goes into the flower, and he has hairy legs, and those hairy legs attract the pollen from the other plant, and he puts that pollen into the pistil, right, and it becomes a flower and a fruit, and he gets the pollen, and he brings it into his sac. He has a sac on his leg, and it becomes honey. Look at the bee, and look at the creations that God made, and he brings that honey. He has the ability to make a home made out of wax. He has that ability, the bee, and he stores his honey. And if somebody wants to attack him, he has a stinger that he can eviscerate him if he does one stinger, and the enemy comes up. Where'd that come from? That evolved? And that's what we have to show those people, especially the people that are into learning, and they may drop out and see something outside and say, wow, this is what I love. Forget about the Torah. No, you just precede each lesson with a bit of knowledge, whether it's a leaf, whether it's the bee, whether it's how we get the food, all kind of things. That should precede everything we have. Now I want to I don't know where to begin, but the point is I want to introduce Dr. Jed Webb, who is a very different type of person because her parents, her father was a chaplain in the army. Is he living?
Yes, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah. And where does he live?
They're still in Scranton.
Oh my God! Yeah. So what happened? Her father was a chaplain in the army, and she went all over the world. And her mother is a graduate of Stern College.
You remember? Wow.
Stern College. She made such an impact on me. And they went to different army bases throughout the world.
Yes, they did.
You remember some of them?
I have little memories here and there. I was very young.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So when you got to Scranton, how old were you?
6.
6. So as she came to Scranton, Pennsylvania in the 1970s, where were there day schools in America? On the Lower East Side, you had one. You had in Baltimore, someplace else. Very few, some watered down. And her parents picked Scranton, Pennsylvania after he retired from the army.
Yeah.
And chaplaincy. And in Scranton, that is a makom of Torah for all the people, all the men and boys and men. But in addition, in the 70s, they started the day school for the rabbis, and she and her siblings were pupils at that day school.
Yes.
Can you believe that? The foresight that the parents had to bring them to a Scranton where they had a Jewish education, a strong Jewish education. Now I want to ask you, what was your home life like? I mean, was it reviewing of the Torah? Was your mother delegate different things? Or they fiery? What was their impact in general on the children?
Well, they were both extremely hardworking people. I'm one of hardworking. I'm one of 8 children, so it was busy. It was always busy, but they showed us in their example how to do chesed. They're both very involved through their work. My father ran a nursing home.
In Scranton?
Yeah, nursing home administrator. My mom is a nurse practitioner. So they showed us in the way they did their job how to love people, how to care for people.
How to care for people.
How to go out of your way. And at home, we lived a regular Jewish life. We saw Shabbos, we saw Kashrus, we saw...
What was Shabbos like?
In my house?
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful, good food. My mother made wings before Shabbos. We remember the wings, you know, the chicken wings. She would
chicken wings, that's my wife's favorite, chicken wings.
Every Thursday night, she would peel... I think I'm gonna cry.
What? I'm gonna cry with you. What did I hear that cry? That somebody cried. Oh, and Yosef. I'll have to go out to get a tissue for you. But in Yosef, you know, Yosef in this week's Sedra, right? We're doing it on the fourth day of Hanukkah, and Yosef it says to the brother, "I am Yosef. Does my father yet live?" In front of the dead.
I always cry.
I had to cry.
I cry also. I always cry.
Okay, how did children interact? Would they behave?
Yeah, we were very good kids. The Sandhouse kids were always known to be the best behaved kids. I don't know why, but we're a very behaved bunch. And my mother, I'm saying she would peel the skin off of chicken wings every Thursday night.
You didn't leave them on?
No, we didn't like the skin, so she would sip off the skin and put mayonnaise and breadcrumbs, Kellogg's cornflake crumbs, and it's still to this day the most delicious recipe. And we beg her to make it, and when going home and eating those wings is Shabbos. And when a mother does that for her children, she makes them love Shabbos.
How was your children?
Delicious. Everything my mother touches is delicious.
And your parents they spoke a little bit, or they cared?
Yeah, my father makes everything fun in the house. Like walking home from shul, he did his shtick, and he always made being Jewish fun. He would take us to his nursing home for the first Seder on Pesach, and he would lead the Seder for the elderly, and he just made it fun. He would say, "Hello, Gertrude. Hello, Isidore." You know, he would bring life to the older people and show us how to do it right, you know, and how to mix Yiddishkeit and Kavod HaBrios, which is honoring human beings. These are my parents. You know, just regular people living in Scranton and...
Well, how about, what was the enrollment in the day school? What was the day school called in Scranton?
Scranton Hebrew Day School.
And it's still in existence?
Yes, it is.
Oh, how many children do that? Approximately. They have a building and
Yeah, they have a brick building
really?
on Monroe Avenue in Scranton, and in my day, maybe it was 100 kids in the whole school.
Really, that's a lot.
Maybe less. I'm very bad with numbers nowadays. I haven't kept up. I'm not sure, but it wasn't big at all. It was maybe
100 is a lot.
Yeah.
In the 70s. I mean, what was the Jewish population? I'm sure the parent body wasn't so observant.
Yeah, it was a mix. It was a mixture of kids came in from Clark Summit, which is and Wilkes-Barre, neighboring communities. They would come in, and it was all types. It was conservative. It was and yeshiva, all the way to the yeshivas. The Rebbe's and the yeshiva's children were sitting in the same classroom.
Now they have a range from the Rebbe's, the yeshiva children, and the yeshiva gedola. And to all the children from mixed families from Wilkes-Barre,
yes,
and the surrounding communities were not knowledgeable on Torah. So did you notice that there was a difference between you and them as far as their observance?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't. And it helps me be the person that I am today, because I still don't notice the difference.
What?
I still don't notice the difference among Jews. I see a human being. I try to see a human being first.
And does anything else that you remember your teachers in Scranton?
Yeah, they were all great. I remember Rabbi Palatoff. I remember Mrs. Turin, Rabbi Turin. I remember Rabbi Rosenberg.
And your siblings were older and younger than you, and
yeah.
You worked together. You didn't have any problems. You had.
We didn't really fight too much, thank God.
You what?
We didn't fight as kids. We got along really well.
How come?
I don't know.
And you still maintain a relationship with your siblings?
Yes.
And they're all around. Anything doing on Hanukkah? You went.
Well, it's hard because there's so many of us that it's hard to get together.
Uh-huh.
And we all have extended families, Kanai with children and grandchildren now, so we see each other at weddings.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So where are some of the are there any of them in chinuch or rabbis or
My
teachers?
brother Moshe, Kanai he has 12 children in Baltimore.
Really?
Yeah, he's a mechanech, he's a rabbi.
Really?
Yeah, he's a very holy man.
Uh-huh.
I love him.
How did, you tell these people, and you get any feedback from this program that your people saw you or they heard about?
Yeah, I got some pretty good feedback. I'm gonna share it. We'll share again what we do today. I'll share it out on my channels.
With who?
I have a channel, I have a Telegram channel, I have a Facebook, I have a few places I can share.
And they tune in?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how that works, but I'm sure it's something different. But can you tell us something about growing up? And I'm sure they had a lot of snow in Scranton.
Yes, a lot.
So,
and there was a lot of hills in Scranton. The section is called the hill section that I grew up.
Uh-huh.
And we would go sledding down the hills. It was a lot of fun.
And you had a particular close friend growing up from there that you still keep in contact with, or
a few, 2 or 3 of them, sure, yeah.
And you went to the 8th grade over there, but you helped your with 8 children to be on a horror that you must have your mother must have given each of you all chores to.
She was very hands off. She did a lot by herself, and I feel bad about that now. But as I got older and I realized how hard it was for her, I started to help a little bit more where I could.
I hear you. Some women, delegate everything, and they're just like soldiers. They're sitting at the table.
No, my mother's not like that. She did everything herself, really, and she's a powerhouse, Kanai.
And where is she now?
She's still working. She just turned 75, Kanai. She just had her birthday. And she's working full-time as a nurse practitioner. And
as a nurse?
She's very vibrant, yeah. Very, very fun and alive person.
Where was she born? Where is she from?
She was born in the DP camp in Sweden.
And after the war, the concentration camp survivors?
Yeah, my grandparents, her parents were Auschwitz survivors.
Wow.
And she was born in Sweden.
Born in
Sweden.
That's where they took the infirmed and the sick after they liberated the camps. They took many of them to Sweden where they received health care.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was and her siblings survived the camp.
She had one sister. My grandparents had one baby that right before the war that was killed. And she was shot by the Nazis in the head, that baby. Her name was Schiffer Etel. I have her middle name.
Really?
Yeah.
And where'd they come from in New York?
Poland.
What part, Galicia or anything?
Oh gosh, Lublin. My grandparents.
Lublin?
Yeah.
They were Hasidim or not?
On my father's side, Hasidim.
What kind?
Galiciano.
Galicianas?
Yeah.
Galicia, a part of Poland.
Or Kolbasiv, I think actually Kolbasiv. You know that name, Kolbasiv?
No,
yeah.
There's a lot of Hasidic groups. You can get it?
I have it. Yeah. I can't drop the leaf, it's from Hashem.
We're not allowed to take revenge on people, and not allowed to take nekama, but God can take nekama. God can take revenge, and we see that this pale of settlements that stretches from the border, right through the border of Ukraine and Russia to the Black Sea, all the way up to the Baltic nations of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So that was the border. They dumped the Jews. That's called the Pale of Settlements.
Yeah.
And that's where the Nazis sent up camps of extermination camps, and in 3 days in Babi Yar and Kiev, they killed 33,000 Jewish men, women, and children, machine gunned them to death. And now, you know, who were the terrorists? They were Ukrainians mainly, and now their relatives, their children and grandchildren are suffering the fate of a long, painful years of suffering from ballistics and rockets, and it's all because they treated the Jews and that way, and they were happy, they were dancing, but their posterity, their children and grandchildren will pay. And there's a new book came out. It's called The Blue Police of Poland.
Okay.
And a Polish wrote it, and he interviewed a lot of people. And during the war, it wasn't the Nazis that looking for the so much looking for the Jews that escaped, but it was the Polish blue police, Polish blue police, and they could tell who was a Jew and who tried to escape the concentration camps, and that was their role, to find out, to ferret out the Jews, to make sure that none escaped. So Poland is, like, you know, relatively secure, so to speak, in that they went through the Iron Curtain and suffered under Stalin's regime and all the dastardly acts that they did. And God remembers, and He will take care of them.
Yes.
At the time that He so chooses, and the head of all of this, overseeing the Jews and the Ukrainians and the Russians, is a Jew, Zelensky. He is Jewish. He is a Jew, and today God gave us the land, the Holy Land, and the area of central Judea and Samaria, and we'll knock off the arms of the octopus, whether it's Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen. They shot up a ballistic missile a couple days ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a ballistic missile from Yemen, right? And the missile landed in a square park surrounded by apartment buildings in Tel Aviv, and it hit right in the middle of the park. It blew out the windows, but there was no death. So Nathaniel said, "We'll remember that. We'll teach you, just like we taught the other arms of the octopus." And what happened? He sent over 100 airplanes to Yemen, and he wiped them. He did a great deal of damage to them, those people that wanted to start up. But Now, do you have any thought that you want to give over? I know that you're like into the Zohar and...
Yes, I am. Well, I wanted to talk about how this week's parsha we see Yosef becoming, going from being a prisoner to being second to the king, and how it's almost an archetype for the Redeemer of the Jewish people to be an outsider. Moshe Rabbeinu was an outsider. He didn't really have a place within the house of Paro because they knew he was a Jew, and he didn't really have a place among the Jews because he grew up in the house of Paro. So he had no place in this world, and it's a certain archetype that we need to be looking for that's going to be the Redeemer now. In the Zohar, he's called in Aramaic the Raya Mahemana, which is faithful shepherd. And this is the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu that keeps returning generation after generation. And he fits this exact archetype. It's about recognizing the pattern that Hashem is showing us. He's going to bring us somebody who doesn't fit into any mold. He doesn't fit among the Jews. He doesn't really fit among the non-Jews. He has no place in this world. And Hashem is going to show us through this. It's done for a few reasons. The first reason that Hashem creates the Raya Mahemana, Moshe Rabbeinu, as an outsider is number one, to keep him humble. Okay? Because when he's going to be the Redeemer, he's going to have struggled so much, having no place in the world, that he's always going to remember that struggle. It's going to be deeply ingrained in his soul. So he will always stay humble. And it's also done so that people will recognize that this is Hashem's hand at work. That Hashem will make such an unlikely person, unlikely in his appearance, unlikely in his lifestyle, a person apart from the Jewish, he's set apart from the regular mainstream Jewish community. He will come in as the Redeemer to show us that this is the Yad Hashem. The only explanation we can have for such a bizarre situation.
Yeah, what?
For such a bizarre situation, the only explanation we can have that somebody who doesn't really look like a Redeemer, somebody who doesn't really fit the certain prototype or image or preconceived notion we have in our mind. And he comes out of nowhere, Mr. Glick, out of nowhere, and he saves us. And he looks different, and he sounds different, and he teaches something different, right? And here he is, and we have to be on the prowl for this person. We have to have our radar out for somebody who doesn't really look like a rabbi, no. He doesn't really even look like a Jew. No, because Moshe Rabbeinu himself looked like an Egyptian. Okay? He was accused by the daughters of Yisro. They called him a Mitzri. They didn't call him a Jew. Okay? In the Parsha. So this is what I have my eye out for. And I did find somebody on YouTube who fits this profile.
Really?
Yes, I did. Mr. Glick, I did. His name is Yira Ha'ari. And he's different than anybody else. And he's teaching Kabbalah. I'll send you his information if you want. But he's teaching Zohar on the deepest level, and he's teaching a brand new kind of Torah, how to relate the Aleph Beis to the universe, to the plants. He says you take the plant, takes the shin from the sun, okay, and the mem from the earth, and the aleph from the avir, from the air, and you create
air, right?
Okay, so he's teaching, in his primary teaching, he's teaching how Mem, Shin, and Aleph, okay? The Aleph, Mem, Shin principle, how you have it on your face, okay? How your eyes are the Aleph. I mean, how your eyes are the Shin. How your nose is the Aleph and how your mouth is the Mem. And when you see the pattern of Hashem's Aleph Beis in the plant and in your face and in each other and in the atoms, the cellular level, and in the bee, okay? The bee with the hairy legs. And you see this divine pattern repeating and repeating and repeating. You come to the da'as of Hashem in the world. The da'as, the knowing of Hashem. Not the belief, not the faith, but the knowing. Because I see you have the Mem Aleph Shin, and you see I have it, and we see the plant has it, and the bee has it. And what happens from that? We all recognize Hashem in each other. And we don't hurt each other, and we don't hurt the planet, and we don't hurt anybody anymore because we come to have the da'as of Hashem. The da'as Hashem covers the world like the waters of the ocean. Who said that? What pasuk is that from? The knowledge of Hashem will cover the earth like water. You know that pasuk?
No.
Yeah, I think it's in Isaiah.
Is what?
I think it's in Isaiah. Yeshayahu.
Isaiah?
I'll
Okay,
find it.
Yeshayahu.
Yeah, Yeshayahu. What do you think of all of that? Do you want
Fantastic.
you want me to send you his information?
I want you to repeat it again because you see, it's like a class. You know, the rabbi is going to spend hours reviewing and putting into capsule form a piece of Torah to give over, but the students, they're only hear it for like a few seconds or a minute. You know, he's got to review that, and that's the same thing with you.
Okay.
You have to review what you said in capsule form and tell it to them slowly so that they will be able to get a little bit more understanding as opposed to just going through it once.
You're right. Should I say it again right
Yes,
now?
yes.
Okay. So this is hard because I'm new
Slowly.
I myself am pretty new to this information.
You have to go slow though.
I'll go slow. So in Sefer Yetzirah, which is a book written by Avraham Avinu, our forefather, he talks about the mother letters of the Aleph Beis. The Aleph, Mem, and Shin, okay? And these are the primary three letters of our Aleph Beis. And the Aleph Beis is the garment of Hashem. It's how Hashem clothes himself so we could recognize him in creation. So this man, Yira Ha'ari, okay, who is an outsider, like I was telling you, looks like an outsider to the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm. What's his name again?
Yira Ha'ari, and his channel on YouTube is called Restoration of the Breach.
Restoration
of the Breach.
Of the
Breach.
Breach.
Breach. B-R-E-A-C-H.
Breach. Restoration of the breach.
So he's teaching a different Torah. He's teaching how to take these letters, called the mother letters from Avraham Avinu, and relate them to the human beings, to our face, to our body, to the plants, to the animals, to the atoms, to the planets. And it's in his book. He has a book that he has. It's on bookbaby.com, and it's called Sefer Yira. And it's teaching a higher level of Torah, but it's starting with the basics. Just like in Scranton Hebrew Day School, I started with the Aleph Beis, Rabbi Palatov, in first grade. We're starting with the Aleph Beis again as a people, but we're learning to use the Aleph Beis to recognize, to have the Da'as of Hashem, Reishis Chachma, Yir'as Hashem. And this man is named Yir'ah Hashem. In a vision, he received a download, and Hashem, they called him Yir'ah in this vision. He fell down in a vision, and he was called Yir'ah. And Reishis Chachma Yir'ah. It's always about the awe of the pattern in this leaf, how it has the veins. I could cry looking at this leaf. I could cry from looking at this.
Yeah.
You made me realize, and how it feels, and just everything about how divine it is. So if people are interested in learning more about this, I would go to that channel on YouTube called The Restoration of the Breach. And this man's name is Yira Ha'ari, and he's going to look like an outsider to you. But he's also going to fit exactly the biblical archetype of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Raya Mehamana.
So you're following him throughout?
I've been following him since August. I found him, he caught my attention. Him and his friend is named Shaul, Garment of Esav. He has a YouTube channel also called Garment of Esav. He's teaching
Where do they live?
They live on the West Coast.
Do you have any of your siblings? I mean, you're interested in the Zohar and mystical teachings. Any of your siblings like that, or do they interest in a different part of Judaism, or are they more into secular teachings and knowledge?
Well, my sister Leah, my sister Leah is very much into Kabbalah right now also.
Where is she from?
She lives in Teaneck.
Teaneck, okay.
Yeah, and I have it's the whole gamut in my family, from the very yeshivish very learned in my brother Moshe is a Talmud Chacham in all, the Gemara and Tanakh, and he teaches Holocaust studies, and my brother Morty is a physician, and my sister Miriam and my sister Sarah are therapists, they're occupational therapists.
That's a tough course, OT.
Yeah, OT, they're OTs. Shifra, my sister Shifra is an OT.
Where do they live?
Mostly in New Jersey. Who did I forget? Dina, my sister, Dina. Dina is a nurse. Is she a nurse practitioner? Yes. And Leah is a nurse practitioner. We're all Shifra, Gila, Miriam, Moshe, Leah, Sarah. I got you, Sarah? Yeah. Morty and Dina. Yeah, I covered everybody. I don't want to leave anybody out. But yeah, we all have dedicated ourselves to helping human beings.
And what interaction do you have with your parents now?
I speak to them every Friday.
Every Friday?
Before Shabbos, yeah.
How much time can you give them before Shabbos?
Usually a half hour with my mother.
Really?
Maybe an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, I love my mother. My mother's one of the funniest people I know. She's a hilarious woman.
Really?
Yeah, she's got a great sense of humor, so I like to be on the phone with her. But we're both busy, Kanana Hara, so Friday, whatever happens on Friday, we always touch base.
That's something.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
And they live in an apartment in...
No, they're still in the same house I grew up in.
Really?
Yeah.
And did they have anybody else at home, or just your parents live by...
Just the two of them. After all that, it's just the two of them.
They go to Florida once in a while?
They don't really travel too much. My mother still works full time, and my father recently retired. He was working until a couple of years ago. So they're just, I think they eventually want to go to Israel. So do I.
And you go back to Scranton on occasion?
Well, we used to go a lot more often, especially because they're close to all the camps, the summer camps. So we used to make use of them for that, which came in very handy on visiting day. But we used to go a lot more. I have grandchildren now, so I became the matriarch of my family. So yeah, thank you. So my parents come to us now, which is nice. They come to us. Yeah.
Wow, man, it's such a story. But what's the message you give out to, most people don't have parents that are equal in their knowledge and commitment to Torah. Day school movement is such that it doesn't, it caters to everybody, and the parent body may be a little bit stronger than some of the other parents in the group. So what can you give them as a common denominator that they give over to the children to supplement the schooling? What do you feel about the day school movement in general?
I think it's wonderful. I think that so long as your children see you doing mitzvahs with love, with enjoyment, without stress in the home. Don't make it stressful. Don't make it overbearing. Don't make it that you have to keep everything perfectly and obsessive compulsive. Don't be like that. Do it b'simcha. B'simcha. Do it with joy. Worship Hashem, dance around their house, sing songs at the table, play games with them on Shabbos. And they're gonna love Hashem. They're gonna love Hashem no matter what.
Did you find that any siblings are bookworm, naturally bookworm?
Yeah, there's some more than
growing up. They're natural bookworms.
Yeah. Shifra was probably that. Shifra was probably the smart one.
What?
My older sister, yeah.
Yeah. What is she now?
She's a professor. She's actually one of the administrators of Torah College.
Torah College.
Torah, yeah.
Which part?
Of OT. She's an OT. She's a PhD in OT.
Because my grandson goes to Torah Dental.
Right. Her son Avi is in dental school. Yeah, she has a son in Torah Dental School. My nephew Avi.
Avi, last name?
I don't know if he wants me to say it.
Oh, okay. No, listen. I'm sure they don't have that many people. Whatever. So the point is, you see, I have an axe to grind because, I feel that the day schools are jack of all trades and master of none. Jack of all trades and master of none. In other words, they have to cover the Yontevim, and they have to give shiurim, and they just keep on flying back and forth, and just put a lot of knowledge in front of you. But I don't think that they're able to stand to imbibe all of that knowledge. And I feel that it turns people off.
You know what? It's better than nothing. I wouldn't be here without it. I'm gonna give the other side because I'm an optimist. You know, like what did you call me in the beginning? I forgot what you said.
You're the you know.
I forgot the word.
When you get older, you
called me. It was a great word.
Yeah, so it'll come to me.
I'm an activist, maybe. I forgot what you said. But
you're the Rivka was the idealist. Idealist.
I'm an idealist, and without this Grand Hebrew Day School, Rabbi Wurbin, Rabbi Yalblock, we had these principals come in. Without that school, I would have been in public school.
Without that?
Without the day school,
yeah,
I would have been in public school.
Why?
Because there's no other options.
What?
There was no other option in Scranton. Maybe my parents would have sent us away, but that would be a terrible option. So I was able to live at home, and I look at this. I look at day schools differently, and I give them a kind eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're there. They're serving a purpose. They're bringing in.
But I come across people that graduates in secular studies. They may be to college. But in Jewish studies, they do not appreciate it, and they can't give over. They just turn the switch. They just gave up. They don't want to hear any Torah. And what I suggest, I suggested it last time, and that is that they're late bloomers, and I say from the 4th grade to the 6th grade, there should be two groups. One, slow learners, late bloomers, and the other group that love it and just can't get enough of it. And it's like a minor league and a major league in baseball. You get you get promoted from the minor leagues when you get that feeling that you want to learn, right? And so, but sometimes you may stay in the minor leagues all your life, but that's all right, because you review it slowly, and then you become a late bloomer. Then you've gotten a lot of knowledge by being in that group, and later on you'll come to another group. But it's from the 4th to the 6th. There are two groups: the ones that got it, and the ones that takes a long time to get it. Now, what do? They have graduations, a waste of time. The nursery, kindergarten, 6th grade, they take the people out and they make them sit there the whole day, and they go up above it and hear the speeches. For what? And already their schools, there's no graduations. Everybody learns and they keep on going. No graduations, no assemblies, no political speeches, no parades. That's all a waste of time. And where should be the secular subject? Between 5 and 7 p.m. The rest of the day, and I have experienced it. I don't want to tell you that nobody would accept me because I was too old and I had no background. Except there's one place where they took anybody with no questions asked. So there was one guy there, Louis Zinkin.
Okay.
And he came from Lakewood. He wasn't religious, but he wanted to be a doctor like his father. And we didn't have teachers. There no teachers came into the school. If they did come, they come once a week maybe. But he studied the books and he passed. And he's a doctor. He's a doctor. Yeah, Louis Zinkin.
Where was this? Where did you learn?
I was in a place called Yeshiva Hechel Torah.
Where was that?
On the west side.
Okay.
I came to New York. I was trying to find a place, and I went to Chabad, and that was 1959.
Oh wow!
And they said, we're not set up for you.
Oh.
We can't take you.
Oh.
And so I just wandered from one place to another. Basically,
how did you grow up, and what type of household?
Well, I lost my mother when I was 2. She died when I was 2, and so I was back and forth all over the place. But my Bobby and Zadie they took me in most of the time. My brother took good care of me, and that's where I grew up. Mainly.
And were they religious or they were not?
They were the Europeans, right? They came over in 1900, but they were traditional.
Okay.
Traditional, but you should never buy anything on Shabbos. But the children went to the 5 boys. They went to public school, and nothing. They were just turned off to Judaism. Meant nothing to them.
So how can you explain you?
I think that God, in His makeup of each individual, has some people are born to be carpenters. Some people couldn't real figure out which end is the hammer. Some people are born to be scientists or musicians or artists, whatever. They have a certain aptitude for vocation. But spirituality is another thing that He puts into a Jew's soul, like we spoke before. Spirituality, the spirit that we got to sign out, and I had a larger dosage of that, and I had to keep on seeking, even though there wasn't much to find, but I kept on seeking. I had to find it.
Beautiful. I love that explanation.
Yeah. So we got 5 minutes. So tell us about your day school activities and what the teachers were like, and what the children, any thoughts that you can remember that.
Well, actually, I loved my graduation.
What? You had a graduation?
Yeah, I loved my kindergarten graduation, and I loved my 8th grade graduation.
Yeah, for the kids, they give them something to be happy about, marching up and getting like in the public school today, you see the kids with the gowns and all that, but they don't know anything. So and that's what you loved it, yeah.
I loved it. I have good memories, thank God. I think part of those good memories helped me remain steadfast in my Yiddishkeit, my Judaism. I remember you just brought up words like recess, and we had assemblies, those are great memories, And we would daven in the day school every Shabbos. There was a minyan inside the school, and we would sing together the different.
You mean for the children?
Yeah, for the community. It was a lot of the community came to the school to pray. And it was nice because our teachers were there, and they would sing the tunes that they taught us, and during the week they would sing like the Anam Zemiros and the Don Olam, and all the different and those things, when you learn them young, those tunes, they stay inside of you, and they really open up your neshama. Music is very powerful.
Yeah, at a young age you can imbibe a lot of materials that at an older age, it's like writing on erased paper.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's what the Pirkei Avos says. It's like you're writing on erased paper.
It's called Girsa de Yankusa. That's the Aramaic. It's like what you learn as a child, you remember. Yeah. It's imprinted.
And we had to memorize the state song of Delaware.
Did you remember that?
Oh, my Delaware, my beloved Delaware, for the sun is shining over my beloved Delaware. Oh, the hills of dear Newcastle. That's the whole story. But then there were 2 junior high schools. Byron and Warner were on the other side of the river, and they were fancy people. We were the poor blue-collar workers, and the Warner, we had rivalries, and there was a river ran through the city. It was the Brandywine River. It was a stream, but they called it a river. So the Warner school stood on top of of that little stream, Brandywine, and their fight song was, "When the boys of Warner fall in line, you will hear a cheer across the Brandywine, and we'll roll all Bayard in the mud, in the mud."
Love it.
but instead of learning Torah songs, it's like you have to do it on erased paper. It's like learning erased paper. So that's why it's very important to do away with the secular subject from 5 to 7 p.m. the rest of the day should be in learning. There's so much to learn and to memorize, and you're like a sieve, you can take it all in.
Yes,
So
I agree.
So that's important as far as elementary school education, but you have to bring your child to a day school. And today, B'li Ayin Hara, they're springing up like wildfire.
On every block. Look at the 5 towns. You have how many schools? You have
oh my goodness, you have
a dozen more, 20 schools at least.
Yeah. And I like the Cheder, Darkei Torah has like a gigantic campus.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
My sons went there.
Yeah, your son went there?
Both my sons, yeah.
And anybody married in your
Oh, my son is engaged since the last time. I don't know if you know.
No. Did he announce it in shul this week?
I'm not sure, but
because I wasn't there.
Oh, you know my son, the tall one.
Yeah. He's such an ideal type of a person.
He is. I love him.
He's so serious about learning and davening, and he's there on time, and he just somebody to look up to.
Yeah, he's engaged. So he found a lovely girl from Woodmere, a local girl.
What is she like?
Beautiful,
Yeah,
just sweet and tamimistic and pure and nice and lovely.
She went to school and.
She went locally, yeah.
Where'd she go?
She went to Shalamis,
Shalamis, right.
And then SKA for high school.
SKA, that's a fancy school. Some people learn a lot and some people don't learn too much.
Yeah, she's a very smart girl. She went to Israel afterwards. Yeah.
Married.
We're looking around Pesach time. It's gonna happen.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And your other son?
He's 18. He just turned 18 last week. So.
Does he come to? I don't see him. Did he come?
No, he davens at home.
He
prefers to daven at home.
What?
He prefers to daven at home.
Listen, everybody got a little stick in and
yes.
I know I don't see him whatever. So listen, is there anything else you want to say, because we have like 30 seconds?
I just want to say thank you for having me again, and thank you for your fire for Torah and your emotionality for Torah. Thank you for dedicating yourself to knowing so many details of Torah and for bringing it to us with yira, with awe, and with neshama. Your neshama is shining, and I just want to say it's a pleasure spending time with you, and I'm so happy to be invited here whenever you have me.
You know, I called her up today a week ago, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do the program," and I called her today, and then she's a housewife, she's a mother, she's a dentist, she has all kinds. But when it comes to, it reminded you that you want to come, you feel up to it. She said, "Oh yes, that's where you can take the tonality of her acceptance." So I don't want to keep you. And you know, there's the louse, L-O-U-S-E.
Yes.
It attaches itself to the hair molecule.
Yes.
And it has a cement a type of material that cements itself to the hair molecule.
Yeah.
And then it has a proboscis, so that it can cut the skin and shoot an anticoagulant.
Oh wow.
Yeah, all of that in that little lounge.
Right.
You go. Well, it evolved. We didn't evolve overnight. It took millions and millions of years. That's baloney.
Baloney.
You can have an automobile with all the parts disassembled, and they're not going to get together unless there's an outside force.
Right.
So with that,
the sophistication of Hashem's bria, the sophistication of a louse. No human being could create that. No.
The media brainwashes us to believe that it didn't happen overnight. It took from brackish water, it came into all of a sudden it came into amoeba, and then it flagella, and then it came to an amphibian and a monkey. No, come on.
That's stupid.
And they believe it. They believe it. The biggest sign. Okay, with that, we remember the famous words of Hillel. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, when am I? If not now, when? Now. When is now?